fighting for my life, Paul. I was trying not to sneeze as soon as the video.
Oh no!
I think it's considered bad form to just open the video sneezing, but I think I'm good if I keep my eyes like this for a little while. Guys, welcome to IT Live. It's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I am Texas Homer. That is Paul Wadlington, and we hang out on Tuesday and we talk about football. And we talk about Texas, and we're going to talk about the portal exits, those impacts, what that actually means, good, bad, and different. And then we'll look through our good friends at Texas A&M and Oklahoma and their matchups. And Paul will give us some incredible insight, as he always does. You want to get more incredible insight, though, Paul? You can join for just $1 over on Inside Texas. Portal news, it be dropping, so tune in, guys. There's a lot of it's moving.
There's something happening every hour. I was
Yeah,
going to
it's
say every
moving
day. Something's happening every hour. I broke news to Connor.
Yeah. I was like, because I did the marathon this weekend, so I've been really disconnected on Saturday and Sunday. I wasn't really in the loop, so I was like, did that happen over the weekend? And you're like, no, man. So first things first, Lafau heads out. Let's talk that one first. More was expected. Eric's for 2 weeks has been telling us that's likely to occur. Lafau did not see that one coming. So what are your initial thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think we need to get into all the stuff that maybe went into it because we don't know. I think some of it's conjecture. But I think the staff felt like they can get an equivalent or better fit. And I think Lafau thinks he can go be productive somewhere else and build out his NFL draft stock. So I think it was sort of a mutual parting of the ways. I think the more interesting thing is what's the impact? There's sort of a short-term, a mid-term, and a longer-term impact. So let's talk short-term.
Okay.
Short-term, bowl game. We got no experienced off-the-ball linebackers. And we're playing a team, Michigan, that if you're going to have them be in some disarray, what are they going to do? They're going to bring an extra tight end out on the field. They're going to give you an extra gap, and they're going to run some stuff, and they're not just going to do conventional run game, right? They're going to do late motion, late strong shift, and then they're going to run, and the runner's going to cut it back to the other side at the last second, right? Stuff that is built to fool and deceive your linebackers, your second-level guys. So we're going to have guys who are inexperienced, and God forbid, knock on wood, wherever we are, that we have an injury, because we're looking at freshmen and walk-ons behind guys like Ty Smith, Brad Spence. Also, Brad Spence, much better on the edge than a traditional linebacker.
Right.
So Texas may deal with this. There could be ways that we deal with this by basically playing our base nickel with a linebacker and then playing like a five-man front in varying forms. So could be very interesting. That's the short-term look. Michigan's going to test our run fits at the second level because we're out two starting linebackers, right? Midterm, we've got to go hit the portal. And I don't think we need to get a linebacker. I think we need to get a couple now, right?
Yeah, that was the thing is like, look, let's take like an insurance linebacker, and now that's changed. We need a starting will. And Eric said here, this is official from Eric, wasn't a fan of the rotations, including the Bo Barnes getting reps during bowl prep. There's more to it, still trying to figure it out. And then a second later edit is didn't ask for a raise as far as we know. Texas feels it can do better, apparently.
Well, so let's talk about the idea of young guys getting more bowl prep. That doesn't make any sense. That sounds like a pretext. I mean, the whole purpose of a bowl game now
is to get young guys more reps.
Is to get young guys a bunch of practice reps. And then your veterans come in the week of, and they get their typical game week prep, right? That's the whole idea of all this. Now, if he saw this as like writing on the wall, a message being sent, hey, Bo Barnes, your first team D, like in the game, then maybe that's a different feeling. But,
coaches are in this hard, and I'm not saying this about Bo Barnes. I have no idea what his situation is at all. So this is pure speculation. But coaches are in a rock and a hard place now too, right? Because you have talented players on the bench that other people will try to poach. So in the bowl game, a huge emphasis is to play those guys, to give them the future, just give them a ton of reps. So they're like, oh, I'm good for next year. And then on the flip side, your starters are also being tried to get poached. And so they're like, why is this guy taking? So you're getting it from both angles here. That's tough because you do want to keep the young guys engaged. Hey, I know you said a lot this year. I know you're talented. Next year's going to be brighter. And then the guys that are like, hey, man, I have to go to the NFL next year. Then they're disgruntled. So now you're in. And then, of course, it wasn't a perfect season, which adds seasoning to all of these emotions as well, too. So it's a tough spot for coaches to be in, balancing all of these players' abilities and what they want to do on the field, too.
Well, let's talk about the long term. So LaFau was interesting. He was absolutely awesome in the opener against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he was awesome in the finale against Texas A&M.
Yeah. The middle was not.
The middle was somewhere between below average to unremarkable.
Yeah.
And he was indicted on, some of the pass coverage issues that we had. That was a larger scheme thing that I think we learned from the A&M game, that when we got that unscrewed, suddenly we could play pass defense. But he wasn't great. He was inconsistent. And so the thought was, well, he's going to come back and he's going to shore up his consistency. This is the year, right?
Yeah.
The other thought is, hey, this is who he is. He's a little bit up and down as a player, and the coaches think they can upgrade.
Yeah. And someone states portal list is getting longer or larger and larger. This is where I'm kind of at. I didn't want to add things to the pile, to an already very large pile of things that have to be fixed. So starting linebacker is just one more thing. If this was in isolation, who cares? But it's just like, this is a lot of change that's going on between, can we get these NFL guys back? Some coaching changes we expect. And on the offensive side of the ball, if they keep Flood, I think that's risky because I don't know if hitching your wagon to Flood's a great idea. On the flip side, you get rid of Flood. Now you've gotten rid of basically your whole offense minus Banks and Milwee. And so now you're in a rebuild on offense. So it's just like, man, you're in a precarious spot here. So I just didn't want to add that as another thing to have to focus on. Look, if they do upgrade, if they pull a Jaluk, right, they make the move and they do upgrade and the money's right and the player's good, then all is fair. But man, as Nick Davis says, this list keeps expanding, and that's can be a little worrying, I guess. But if they upgrade, they upgrade.
Well, and it also, I question our scouting apparatus, right? I'm not saying that we don't have one. I'm just saying that there are certain teams that I know for a fact have a team of analysts poring over film of the college football season during the season. FCS, G5, P4.
Local parks,
whatever. Frat boy intramural teams.
Yeah.
And the point is, these guys are ready to go the minute that portal begins to open. I wouldn't want to say when it opens, because all that communication you need to tamper well before the portal opens. I don't know about our personnel apparatus. I think it's built a lot on like relationships. I don't think it's built on like guys poring over film saying, hey, here's a really useful player from Sacramento State. His name's Cam Scatabo. Hear me out. These guys really hard to tackle, and we think it's going to level up, right?
Scudero.
Yeah, Danny Scudero. Oh man. When Jerry Rice is available in the portal, I don't want to hear about fit and whether he's a slot or any of that. I mean,
yeah.
When you have a once in a lifetime player, and man, because in a way he represents everything.
It's the Blake Shapen situation.
But
it's a larger.
Good at football.
Well, I don't sound crazy. Don't sound insane right now. Don't embarrass yourself in front of the chat. Well, that sounds a little wild,
but capable of finishing the season. By the way, he got punched in the face by Ant Hill and just continued playing in that game after getting carted off the field. So, yeah, that's the kind of guy we want. Anyway, I think it's interesting. I question our apparatus beyond, I know a guy that I used to be on a staff with, and he said this guy's good. That's part of it. You need to get that sort of eyes on, or that network sort of. I also want I want three dorks sitting in a room somewhere making $80K a year, just pouring over film and FCS All-American teams and saying, hey, coach, let's check my eyes here. This guy from Tarleton State is unbelievable. Like, I think he could level up. Like, I don't know if we have that kind of apparatus built out. And if you have a more modest portal list, then that's not necessary. Because you can do the like, hey, we know this AD Mitchell guy at Georgia. He's never been healthy, but when he can play, he can go. He's a player, man. All we got to do is get him healthy, get him right. He's going to be an NFL player. That's a very different scout when you need a guy, right? From, hey, we need this list of 14 dudes and 4 of them are offensive linemen, right? Which is one of the more difficult things to scout. So, hey, let me ask you this. I actually heard this is pretty compelling. I was listening, just killing some time, listen to Josh Pate talk to Cole Kubelik about something. And he said, if I was a really good lower P4 or G5 offensive line, or a core 3 of an offensive line, center to left tackle, I would go into the portal all 3 together and say, you have to take all of us or none of us. And you basically collectively bargain for.
If they're good, I'll take them.
Well, that was the preface. It's not three assholes.
Yeah.
So those 3 guys would go in and say, hey, we're your ready-made solution to fix your O-line problems. Yeah. Here's, look at the 3 of us. And we played together. We know all the line calls. We know all the checks. We're comfortable with each other. Because the reason this conversation came about is Cole Kubelik, like me, has been saying something's off in O-line play. Like all this over-reliance on slide protection because it's quote-unquote easy. Defensive coordinators, how they're playing with that. Mm-hmm. And then also that offensive lines aren't getting push anymore. It's all about like getting a hat on a hat and like screening and like, well, at least you got your body in front of that guy. And it's like, well, maybe also drive him and then we'll have a big hole, right? And he was kind of bemoaning that. And he said, I think that there's an opportunity here for lower tier O-lines that are really good or excelling to go play, because he was talking about Liberty sent 2 guys to Indiana and they're playing side by side. And Cignetti basically said, yeah, we just plugged both of those guys in and they have their own language. And we changed some of our line calls to suit them. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was my first thought when you said, they would work on checks together. Well, I'm like, what are they going to tell the O-line coach? Like, we're running the system. But it is funny to let them have their own language and they can translate it however they want, but they know at their spot how to do their job. Yeah, I'm down with it. It's better than the typical brother collective bargaining where you have to take my brother in recruiting. So I think that's a stronger thing.
Yeah.
It's easier for fans.
In that premise, one of the guys is not like a first round NFL guy and the other 2 guys are strong.
I don't care. Yeah. If you're effective, man, that's the big thing. As long as you can get in the way, man. Like I'm becoming it's weird because we know it's a talent league, right? It's not a coincidence that when Texas didn't have a bunch of NFL players on the roster, we didn't have a great season. But man, I just want to, after this offensive line, I just want to see competency. That all we saw was like guys not knowing what's going on. And a lot of those guys were 6'6", 350. So more, it's just like, dude, just do your job and we'll be good.
Well, it's really on the O-line, 1 or 2 guys can get targeted and they destroy everything. Even if the other guys are doing their job. Same as DBs, right? Same as the secondary. So it just is what it is. And it feels like the longer this goes, and I know maybe they were looking for Flood to have a good landing spot. Feels like the longer this goes, the less likely that happens. Mm-hmm. And we don't make a switch. Or if we do, it would actually happen after the portal window.
Yeah.
Little subterfuge. But I don't know, maybe starting to feel like maybe he's going to stay and he got a stern talking to or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope that works, man. Thank you, Quentin. I'm surprised you didn't say he was trash, dude. You're a Scudero guy too, man. Welcome to the club, dude.
Well, Quentin knows ball. He understands the Jerry Rice of San Jose State and not be mocked.
He gets it. He's really figuring it out. And then course, my family's calling me in the middle of a live show. They don't know that I do that every single morning. But all right. Next up was DeAndre Moore. He heads in the portal. Eric had been saying that for a while. It's either NFL or portal, and kind of the Jaden Blue treatment from last year, right? It's like, well, you're not going to play here next year, so decide if it's NFL or whatever. And then maybe DeAndre tries to negotiate, and they're like, we'd rather take whatever we would have to pay you and put it in another player. So whatever that is, DeAndre Moore heads out. Not a shocker.
You ever seen Moneyball, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a great scene in it where Art Howe Billy goes into his office and goes, hey, you can't start, I forgot his name, Gonzalez at third base. And Art Howe's like, I'm in charge of lineup card. I'm starting Gonzalez. And there was a young player behind him that Billy wanted to play. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, you can't start him. And he's like, why is that? I'm the manager. I get to decide the lineup. And he goes, because I traded him. He plays for the Pirates now. And the whole idea is, if you have a promising enough player that you like at a spot, the veteran who never quite achieved what you wanted is actually holding you back, because you want to devote all those reps and all that time to the player that's the next in line. And so we tend to have this normalcy bias as fans of like, well, DeAndre Moore, he did have some good games. Like, remember Georgia and the SEC title? Like, and then also our offense was off and Arch was off early and blah, blah, blah. Hey, like, he had his opportunity, as imperfect as it was, and we've decided to make a change because we think that the guy behind him ultimately is going to be a better football player. And so we tend to have a little bit of a normalcy bias of like, well, this guy's a familiar name. He's been here a while. This is a big loss. And I think it's a little different. LaFau creates a little more uncertainty, even though he was up and down as a player.
Yeah. But
more, I think they think McCutchen or someone else is going to be the guy.
Yeah, and they've been talking about McCutchen since he stepped foot. That's been the whole thing. So give him at slot, or if you find another slot. Do you think if you want to add a wide receiver, what position do you want to add it at?
Sorry?
If you want to add a wide receiver, do you want it to be an outside number one? I know Ian would, because outside.
Did we not just discuss Danny? Am I insane?
Yeah, sorry.
Am I the only sane man alive?
If Danny Scudero comes in at slot, I mean, you can't say no. That would be insane.
Who says no?
Hopefully not us.
Hopefully not us.
Or move him outside. He's versatile, dude.
You know what? Just you saying this on the live is going to poison everything. This guy's going to go to USC now because of you.
Yeah. Well, come on, guys. Give me a little bit of a break here. Oh, Moore is mid. Let him walk. All right, Quentin. That's the Quentin I know and love.
Now that we're getting the hating.
There, you're back, dude.
Honestly, I think you need a mismatch problem more than a position.
Okay.
I know Ian's default is always outside, right?
Yeah.
But guys who are a mismatch inside are a problem too. And also, Sark doesn't have a clear inside-outside delineation, right? So I think you have to – I just think you want a guy who's a mismatch, who's a problem. And whether that guy's inside or outside, I take best available. And then you could shuffle the remaining three kind of around that. So – because Wingo, is he a true outside guy? He's more of an athlete playing receiver, right? Parker Livingstone has his thing. Emmett Mosley has his thing. He's not going to really separate off coverage outside. So I think if you just have enough good receivers, you don't necessarily have to have this clean delineation. Now, if a 6'4", 200-pound guy runs a 4.3 is available, yes, I would like him very much. But other than that, I'm just looking for a mismatch because Sark does have a history of hunting those mismatches and making that work. By pure receiver casting profile types, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle should not have worked out well together at Bama, right? Same, they're both like small receiver slots. They made it work fine.
Well, you just look at Wingo this year. Sark was forced in that issue any way he could.
Yeah.
It was just he was at every spot. So
Sark's just looking for mismatches, and I want guys who are mismatches the minute they step up on the line of scrimmage, right? How are we going to cover this guy? And wherever that guy is, that will create opportunities elsewhere.
Cool. Any other things on portal? Anything you want people to look at? Not players, but any kind of thoughts about the strategy so far?
I'm kind of curious to hear you in the chat's thought. All these quarterbacks are declaring for the portal. What's the market for these guys, and what's the order of declaration? Like, how is Raiola being evaluated against Sam Levitt? How is DJ Lagway being evaluated?
The Cincy quarterback
Sorsby, we've heard, is going to go to Tech.
Yeah,
which that's a solid Big 12 get, right? Veteran guy, good runner, can throw well enough. He's kind of a mature, basically, more or less. How would you rank those guys? And is LSU going to have Dominic Raiola as their quarterback, or DJ Lagway, or are we doing Holiday? I'm sorry, Chambliss.
Man, it seems now like you want the most disciplined quarterback. Like, talent ceiling, how quarterbacks have been getting evaluated going off of arm. Man, look at the feet. Everybody knows that I'm obsessed with that, but like the discipline, like whose drops are right, like who's spending time outside to learn the quarterback position. I think you're looking more, like, in a weird way, you're looking more for floor and consistency. Like, these older quarterbacks we've seen the past couple of years are not necessarily insane talents, right? But they were just kind of sound guys, maybe a little bit of running ability. But unless Lane and Lane can do it, right? He can take these toolsy quarterbacks and make them work. But if you're just expecting to take DJ Lagway because he has a strong arm, but you're not doing much past that, he's not going to have success. You just saw it. So look for floor unless you can actually develop, because these toolsy guys are not getting developed and they look bad and they're getting exposed out there. So to me, it's a floor game now for transfer QBs.
Yeah, two other guys to look at are Kenny Minchey, Notre Dame's backup. He got beat up by CJ Carr. Apparently, he's really good. So that's interesting. Keep an eye on him. And then the guy from Michigan State, Aiden Childs. He was kind of a big recruit. It didn't work for him at Michigan State. People are trying to figure out, is that the environment there, or is that Aiden Childs? So I think there's going to be more to enter, and there's going to be an interesting market for these guys. And all of them are not the complete answer, right?
Right.
So is Lane Kiffin going after those guys? Is Miami going to replace Carson Beck with one? Is Raiola going to be a Miami Hurricane? It's interesting.
Yeah, quarterbacks, you could do a whole show on what the modern quarterback is doing and how you're talking about Cole talking about offensive line. Something's going on there. Something's going on there with quarterback too. I do think the defenses are officially back ahead of the offenses. The spread broke defenses for like 15 years. And I think the defenses are now back ahead, and you're seeing that. So I think some of the quarterback frustration is purely from a ton of too high, a ton of really good disguise, a ton of really good simulation of blitzes. These things are inherently hard to deal with, and they're stacking 2 and 3 of those things onto each other now. So I think that's a reason why you're seeing quarterbacks look a little bit more confused. But also, I don't think the development is 100% there. I think it's just, look, I'm going to take the 5-star whose arm is crazy. I'll make it work however I can scheme it up for 3 years, and then he'll go off to the NFL. I'll look good because the NFL is arrogant and we'll fix them anyways. And then they turn around and don't fix them and discard them. But I think the process and the pipeline for quarterbacks has been pretty bad the past few years. Paul, you want to hear about something awesome?
Yeah, I mean, really, I really do.
The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors.
I was laughing because I'm looking at the running back portal rankings. Guess who the top 3 are right now?
Who?
Number 1, Dylan Edwards. You know who that is, right?
Was he the K-State back?
He was before that Colorado,
okay,
but he's like a little scat back guy. He's fast. So he's the K-State back. He's number 1. Guess who number 2 and 3 are?
Cedric Baxter.
CJ Baxter, number 2, and Jarrett Gibson, number 3. So, boy, we need Jaden Barr and a couple other guys to come in the portal, and they will. But not Bond necessarily, but there's some guys that'll come in the portal. But yeah, the current rankings.
Dude, we should take CJ Baxter.
Get the CJ Baxter guy. He's a big back. He's gonna be a power runner.
Yeah, look at his rankings, dude.
He's gonna.
We don't get him. We can get Gibson.
Well, here's the other thing. That shows the bias of recruiting services.
Yep.
Still keeping, like, there is nothing lasts longer in this world, Connor, than a 5-star rating.
Yeah, I know.
If you're a 5-star, you've got to fail miserably for a good 4 years before people give up on you. I mean, name another industry where you can be considered like to have great potential and you can just fail. And people will be like, well, but yeah, I mean, Connor does do YouTube videos, and his last one had a 3-minute dead black space in it with no dialogue or pictures. But
it was artistic choice, though.
If we keep making them, I bet he's going to figure it out, right? I mean,
well, they call them former. They become former 5-stars, which is a new designation. So you'll see him as seniors, and the announcers on the game will be like, "Look, he's 9th string, but he's a former 5-star. The athleticism is there."
So I'm looking at all these garbage bowls in Louisiana, like not LSU, Louisiana, formerly ULala, has a former 5-star from LSU named Walker Howard, and he got beat out by a young guy named Lunch Winfield. Amazing name.
That's an incredible.
And they're always like, it is mandated. Former 5-star Walker Howard.
Yeah.
And like at a certain point, it's factual, but it's not truthful.
Correct.
Right? What are they trying to convey?
Yeah.
Like, it would be like I'm 70 years old and they're like, former amateur boxer Paul Wadling is like, whoa, I have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's also too where like you're at some, like, this is gonna be a weird example, but you're at like some fair and they're like, this actress, they were an actress 45 years ago and they're just like a sad shell of themselves. But just because they got close to fame 40 years ago, everyone's like, that's very, very cool. Or you'll have an old singer or something like that that won a Grammy in 1952 and they're still coasting off of that kind of thing.
Yeah, you see the club appearances in like bad Vegas clubs.
Yeah,
like he played the famous funny uncle in What You Say About My Mama on the WB, and for like a year.
I saw, this is probably reference, probably not going to work great for you, Paul, but I saw Dem Franchise Boys. Shout out Dem Franchise Boys.
Who is that?
They were this rap group.
Oh, I'm a boomer,
man. They were
like
like 15 years past their song, and it was like at some bad club.
Okay, I got to bring this up.
Bad and cool at that point.
I got to bring this up. Okay, so you remember Young MC, the song "Bust a Move"?
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys, younger folks, if you don't know that song, it's a rap song from the late 80s, early 90s. Okay, that's so "Bust a Move" by Young MC. I'm listening to a podcast, and there is a arthritis medication being advertised, and the back music is "Bust a Move" by Young MC.
Yep.
That's how old I am now.
Yep.
That's how old. That's their target audience saying, if you know who Young MC is, we want to sell you this arthritis medication.
Yeah. But that's the same, like a former 5-star, right?
Yes.
I was talking about this too, just with former players. Like Manziel's on this tour right now. But the player that just like, when you're getting into like your 50s and 60s and your whole identity is still what you did in college football, it's the same where these athletes can just coast on these things. And former 5-stars are like the first step of just coasting off. And also these athletes, like a lot of it is traits too, right? Like it's like 80% genetic. So it's like being 6'6" isn't really your hard work there. But I think we've done enough on former 5-stars. But hopefully the transfer portal with this long list gets solved effectively. It's just the more dominoes that have to fall, the more likely something breaks in that chain. And so I just want to limit that as much as possible. But they can shut me up real quick if they upgrade at linebacker.
I hope they do.
I know, me too.
I'm tired of you being negative about my Longhorns.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you're a North Texas guy, but most of our audience is Longhorn.
I think this is it. I think this is the Eagles' claw, right?
Is that really?
I think so.
I think that's related to the arthritis commercial.
Yeah, exactly. My hands lock like this. All right. Do you want to talk about the upcoming matchups, Paul?
Yeah, I think they're interesting.
They are.
I think you can make very compelling arguments for any of the teams. You know, it's also revealing the NFL now is playing on Saturdays, right? Right?
Sure.
Yes, the NFL is now playing on Saturdays. We've officially entered
It's
December.
funny how college football has tried to be so cool to the NFL. Like, we will never step on your Sunday, and the NFL's like, all right, dork, and they just keep stepping on our day.
NFL is a juggernaut. It takes what it wants.
Yeah.
So the NFL is now on Saturday. So college football playoff wisely didn't distribute the games evenly. It says JMU and Tulane, you're playing on Saturday against the NFL. We're going to do both of the big premier matchups Friday when at least we have our own time slot.
Yeah.
So there was not even any pretense of like, let's break up these games for balance or whatever. They're just like, NFL will crush us, so we might as well have them crush our 2 weakest games.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just so hilarious that college football always gives ground to the NFL, and the NFL like trying to be like, hey man, be cool, and they never.
Hey, there's a really good chat that you need to bring up.
Which one?
AJXOXO/VZ1PN.
The one that says I like Paul. He's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and he's got a catchy username, so that's really good.
Yeah, it kind of rolls off the
It just
tongue.
flows.
Yeah, it's really, really effective there. All right, which game do you like, Paul? Do you want to talk about A&M or the Sooners?
Let's go to Sooners first. It's in the name. You got to go first if you're a Sooner.
The Sooners are the University of Oklahoma, located in Norman, Oklahoma.
Facts.
Established in 18. I'm just making stuff up at this point. All right, they're going to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's the University of Alabama, located in Tuscaloosa as well.
Wow.
All right, here we got some numbers, boys. This ain't my numbers, but really we're going to talk broader narrative, and then if we go, oh, this number looks interesting, then we'll talk about it. But really, it's just so you guys can have something pretty to look at the screen as Paul just drones on.
That's right. This is a low-scoring game by the numbers, and they may be overestimating the scoring ability. We need some defensive touchdowns if it's going to be 21-20.
Yeah, both these offenses have had a great time. I love that Mateer was like, hey, man, I think we got a Baker on. We got another Baker going on here, and then Mateer is just
maybe a Baker like down the street that works at your donut shop.
Yep.
That kind of Baker. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just the donut shop that just says donut.
But not even just spelled DONUTS.
My favorite restaurant buffet by my house is just called Indian Restaurant, and I love it. It's so good. I like to know what I'm getting. All right.
God.
What are your big keys for Oklahoma?
Well, here's the interesting thing. Both of these teams, these numbers are a lie. Neither offense looks like spectacular. The Alabama offense looks better than Oklahoma's. Both have been a big regression, and it stems from similar reasons. They can't run the ball, and both of their quarterbacks are struggling. They're struggling to put the ball on receivers accurately. They're struggling to process. They're struggling to see. And the question is, which teams, given the layoff, are able to scheme it up a little bit and get things back or create some kind of game plan? Here's the other thing. They already played. They played in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
OU won the game. Alabama turned it over 3 times. They doubled up OU in yardage. Like, they just moved up and down the field. And OU won off of special teams and defense turnovers. Had a pick 6. Had a play in the punt game. I can't remember what it was. But they squeaked it out. And then, of course, they humiliated Alabama last year in Norman, which kept Alabama out of the playoff. Something's going on where Venables, the way Sark kind of has Venables' number, Venables may have DeBoer's number, or at least he's struggling to deal with the movement, the replacement, the blitzing. And if you watch the Auburn game, if you watch the Georgia game, Alabama's struggling to protect, man. So that is blood in the water to OU's defense.
Their attacking style actually works really well.
So the question on the other side of the ball, though, is how does OU score other than Isaiah Satania getting open late because a guy fell down or something?
Well, that's what you see is like this offense on OU can't execute. So they're 93rd in offensive success rate, 64th when it comes to passing, and 106 when it comes to rushing.
And so all those things are trending down.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
These numbers are horrific, and they're getting worse. And if you look, their net points per drive on offense is 96th. So they're not finishing either. 110th in points per quality drive, right? So this offense needs an explosive. You have to make, and not just one, like I've said, like Alabama's gonna have to give up 8 explosives and or their defense is gonna have to score. But I don't really know, even with a month, what you're gonna scheme up here to make, because success rate is about your scheme, but it's really just kind of a core discipline. Like, can you execute? And this is an offense that can't execute. So as long as Alabama, even with a bad offense, doesn't get rattled by that defensive attack, you should feel better. But still, OU has a 51% win probability still against Alabama, even when you see a lot of blue on the Bama side and a lot of red on the Oklahoma side.
Well, another thing is these two teams are limping into the playoff. And it's a bummer because as a Texas fan, and believe me, we've spent a lot of time talking about our imperfections as a team. Texas right now is a better football team than both of those.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. So, whoever advances from this game gets to face Indiana. And if I'm Indiana, I like my matchups. So I think it's an interesting matchup. It's not as in-depth and as fascinating as the A&M Miami matchup, where you can literally make a script where A&M blows them out or A&M loses a heartbreaker at home, which would be the very Aggie thing to do, right? But also you've got Cristobal decision-making and all sorts of stuff entered into that too. So I don't know. What's your instinct on this game? I mean, I think it's going to be low scoring. Points are going to be at a premium. What's your vibe? You think DeBoer kind of pulls together a game plan, gets out the lead, and then holds on? Or what do you think?
My vibe is illogical and hateful. So I just think OU will lose because I don't like OU. But it's the problem is I haven't studied Alabama. I've seen them just play a couple games. So it's like I really can't even give you an intelligent analysis. If Ty Simpson's able to do this, so I can give you real basic fan stuff. If Alabama weathers the defensive storm from Oklahoma, then I think, but that's really what the numbers say, right? As long as you don't let Venables overwhelm you or get you with his not respected discipline, but like controlled chaos, I guess is how to say it. If you don't get overwhelmed by that, the numbers say that the offense is going to shoot itself in the foot and you're going to stop them consistently. So don't let Satania get open. Don't fall down. Probably play a little too high. It's not like they're going to run successfully on you. And then just don't get overwhelmed on offense or look at what Sark does. There's game plans on how to beat the Venables defense, get it out quick, that kind of stuff too. But it's really, I think the linchpin is going to be Oklahoma's defense here is the reason for this game. So don't get overwhelmed. I don't want to give the analysis of like, well, it's hard to beat a team twice. It's like not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't buy in all that necessarily. And then also, we can't underestimate the home field advantages and environments in these playoff games. So Texas, we saw that firsthand with Clemson. I mean, it was lit, as the kids say.
Definitely lit.
And I think OU, A&M, all the home teams last year's playoff won. Not only did they win, they covered. So there's an element of that. I think Alabama's fairly veteran, so maybe they're not going to fall apart in that regard. But I think it does matter. And there is a reason in the NFL people want to win their division and have home field advantage. Like it is an advantage. So I think that's another added factor. They got to play like there's no tomorrow. I mean, there's a notion in the season of, hey, we can't run our running quarterback too much because we're trying to save him for bigger things down the road. Playoffs do or die. They may run John Mateer 22 times. And Alabama has been susceptible to running quarterbacks. So that's a thing to look at.
Well, it's get it to your receivers, right? Parker's not, I don't think, like explicitly graphs explosivity. I think he's more of a success rate man, as I am myself. But there's potential opportunity. At least when we played him, remember my analysis was wrong. But the numbers said that explosive on D, you could probably catch them. So with Ryan Williams and Bernard, the former Washington
Jeremy
guy.
Bernard.
Yeah. So maybe that's your answer to actually get the points on the defense if they go over aggressive there.
Well, and the other factor is, I know you fans don't like to hear this. There's a bullying aspect to the Venables defense where they really rack up stats against bad to mediocre offenses. And that is reflected in their statistics. And I think it does inflate their value. The truth is, Ole Miss had no problems moving the ball in OU. Zero. We had no problems moving the ball in OU after the first half when we kind of stopped getting holding penalties and stupid stuff, right? So these guys do have a bullying aspect to them, which is they're not going to put in a too high shell once they have a big lead. And late, like they're going to blitz more. They're going to do more replacement games. All the things that were giving you trouble if you're a bad offense, they're going to do more of, and they're going to finish the game with 9 sacks and 16 tackles for loss, and all of their metrics get blown up. There is such a thing as just enough. And if your O-line can hold up and DeBoer can dial in the game plan, there are opportunities against OU to throw the ball. You just got to protect.
Absolutely. Paul, who will never bully you?
Well, I will bully you. So intellectually, but this guy won't. He's only going to bully you into the best possible rate and the best possible deal. And that's not bullying. That's partnership. And that's what you want from your mortgage guy for the best and most important decision you're ever going to make in your life, buying a house. 832-557-1095. Of course, I speak of Gabe Winslow. Hey, guys, interest rates inching down. Fed just cut rates. The market responded positively. If you're sitting on a house with a high interest rate, 6.5% or higher, you got to call Gabe. And you're going to get some free time here coming up in the holidays. This is the ideal time to get some of this stuff down. Gabe is going to make this painless for you. He does all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is fill out a basic form, and he's going to do the rest for you. Call him at 832-557-1095. Or if you're looking for a house, now's a good time to buy. Not a lot of buyers out there. Rates are coming down. The sellers that have to sell. That's why you put your house on the market in Christmas time. Go in there. If you're going to buy a house, have Gabe in your back pocket. Get pre-qualified. 832-557-1095.
Thank you, Gabe.
Someone in the chat says, good time to refinance your house. I wish we could send them super chats. I'd send that guy $1.99.
We'll reverse super chat you, man.
That's right.
Just give us your routing information. All right, A&M.
This is an interesting game, man.
Miami. Yeah, Parker has them at. And by the way, guys, this is cfbgraphs.com. Stats of War on Twitter. He makes these awesome matchups where you can look at advanced analytics and stuff that's a little bit deeper than who has the most total yards. So shout out to him as well. Make sure to go to that website. He also has individual player stuff, so you can go look at individual wide receiver matchups versus them, quarterback matchups, all advanced stats. Really incredible stuff on this here website. Thank you again for making this, Parker. All right. Miami had a 55% win probability here too, which is interesting.
3-point favorites per the number per Parker's numbers, but the line is A&M -3.5. I would say the home field advantage here. I know you and I like to mock the Aggies home field, but I think it does matter. And I probably wouldn't put it at like the traditional 2.5 or 3 for college football. I would jack it up a full point.
I want to see what it is as a neutral site. So let's act like it's not a home game.
Yeah, let's do that. I want to see if it's just a traditional.
So it's neutral site. They have Miami at 58%.
So Parker's only giving them 2 points. Yeah, I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
Because the early data that we do have on playoff, and it's incomplete, it's not many sets, but the early data is the playoff environment seems to matter. Yeah. So the home field playoff environment, I should say. But the matchups here are crazy, man. So A&M, technically without both coordinators, I only think there's only well, they are going to have their coordinators. Colin Klein is going to be there. He's kind of busy with a lot of other stuff. I mean, he's going to prep for this bowl. There's no doubt. But I should say the playoff. There's a lot going on at Kansas State. He's got to hire a staff. He's got to move his family. There's stuff going on. I don't think them losing Jay Bateman matters at all. Elko's running the defense, right? If you talk to Aggie Intel people, they think Elko took over that defense sometime during the season. So,
well, they need to work on their run fits if whoever's running it.
So this is the most interesting game because just as Texas left a trail of breadcrumbs for Alabama for the OU game, which Alabama may not be able to execute. They may not be an outside zone team, right? They may be able to do some of that stuff. There is a trail of breadcrumbs for Miami. and they have exactly the personnel to execute it if they can watch that Texas and Texas A&M film and really understand what happened.
This is what stands out to me. It's points for quality drive. To me, it's kind of like a cousin of red zone finishing. And A&M's defense gives up points a lot. And that was one of the keys in our matchup, that they'll bend and break. And so that's a big factor for me for Texas A&M, is teams that are this low and letting teams score generally can't go the distance. And so that like, if I had to look at one number to tell you A&M cannot win the national championship, it's that number.
Yeah, I agree. I also think their defense, kind of like Venables in a different way, they're built on a lot of cheating and a lot of line games. And if you can get hat on hat, you saw the opportunity that you have to run the ball. Texas ran the ball all over them, and Texas couldn't run on anybody. So that was very interesting. That was revealing. And there were opportunities available in the passing game as well, because A&M on standard downs is not a great defense. They're really good on third down when Elko can run all of his blitz packages, which were NFL quality, right? But if you can block them, and think about where Miami's strengths are, offensive line. You know, that's the core of that offensive football team. And then they've got an explosive receiver, the true freshman. Beck, that's a big X factor, man. That's what concerns me about.
Which Beck are you getting?
Which Beck are you getting, and which Miami staff are you getting? Because there's times when you see Miami play, and they're in the freaking ACC, Connor.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Kentucky would go, what, 6-2 in the ACC?
Yeah.
5-3?
So would Mississippi State. Any team we struggled with.
Yeah. Well, no, but I really mean that.
No, I agree.
Like, there's a qualitative difference in the Big Ten SEC versus the ACC Big 12. So for Miami to go out and like lose to SMU, and like, it's not fluky, like they just get outcoached and outplayed. That's a weird football team, because you see Miami's bodies and like how they run and all that, and you're like, oh, that's a legit football team. And then you see them play and you're like, what is your deal sometimes? So that's the weird part. So there's the game planning aspect. Are they going to understand what Texas showed about A&M's defense, right? And then can they actually execute it with Carson Beck on the road? That's a big issue. Like us, they're not very explosive in the running game, but unlike us, their offensive line is much more sound.
Yeah, but luckily their success rate is fine. Like, they're 10th in rushing success rate. So
they get a lot of like 5-yard gains.
Yeah, if you can do that, that's still way better than the inverse, right? So
agreed.
So they have good numbers here, of course. I don't know if these are opponent adjusted. I'd have to ask Parker again. But that's because the ACC could be factoring into this, you know.
Oh, this has to be opponent adjusted, right?
I would assume, but
yeah.
I don't know if it states anything down here.
The interesting matchup is the Miami D, because they are really good on the edge. They've got Mesidor and Bain.
That's a big thing.
That's a big deal, because not to take a victory lap on the game plan that I thought we were going to run, and we did. You've got to get Marcel Reed moving in the pocket to his left. Keep him in the pocket, but move him to his left off his spot. One guy on the right rushing against Demetrius Crownover gets the pressure, gets the movement, and then your play side defensive end, in this case it was Ethan Burke, he's the containment trap. He's preventing Marcel Reed from squirting around the edge, right? Can't let your pass rushers deeper than the quarterback, which Texas did an amazing job of. Miami's got the two guys in Bain and Mesidor to execute this. They can do our game plan. They're not Colin Simmons and Ethan Burke. They're both like bigger defensive ends. Picture they're both Ethan Burke, but slightly more athletic. That's who they are. And cool. I think Burke's athletic. So they're not going to get that quick step like Colin Simmons, but they can execute this game plan. And Miami's natural inclination is to get pressure with 4. If they can play man underneath and then have 2 deep to stop Craver and Concepcion going over the top, there's a game plan here, man. So A&M is going to have to run Reed as a response. They're going to have to run the football. If they go back and look at our game, I think if they could try to make an adjustment, they would have done more quarterback run game with like actual reads. but they don't trust Marcel Reed to execute that stuff. So has he learned to do that between now and the playoff game? I don't know. But Miami's got a formula with those two defensive ends. Flush, get pressure, move him off his spot, keep him in the pocket, move him to his left, and play two safeties deep, have covers, and that gives your shallow guys the confidence to play up on Craver and Concepcion and challenge them.
And keep defenders in the middle when you can, and stop all those access throws. Because that's their whole offense is built on Marcel Reed going dink and then that guy running for 30.
Well, here's the funny thing. If they played Miami last year, they'd blow them out because Miami just blitzed like mindlessly. The new Miami DC is the guy from Minnesota, the Gophers. And he is very much like rush the minimum number of guys to get pressure and play coverage. And that's a pretty good approach if you've got two NFL defensive ends and you're playing A&M. The key is your pass rush can't be balls to the wall. It's got to be very disciplined, contained, and you cannot let those edges past Marcel Reed.
So both teams play their best game of the season. Who wins?
That is a great question. I would think A&M.
Okay.
But because Miami's floor is poor. Like sometimes they just no-show. And you're like, well, they're not going to no-show a playoff game. Hey, dude.
You don't really choose that.
Yeah.
Kind of whatever's in the water that week happens.
That's it. So I think that's really interesting. Whoever wins this game, mark it down. The loser of this game is going to be called a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
A&M was a fraud all along. They never played anyone. They played one real team in Texas. Texas whipped them. Miami whipped them.
Miami couldn't even win the ACC. They got granted.
Miami couldn't even win the ACC. Duke won the freaking ACC with losses out of conference to Tulane and Connecticut. And Miami's a fraud. They always were. This doesn't prove anything about the Aggies. Whoever loses this game is a fraud, and that's all they're going to be, right? And it may be true, but we won't know because it's two teams that we don't really fully understand against good teams what they are. We just don't know. And the data points that we have gotten, Miami's low floor when they don't show, when they no show, or A&M's basic inability. I mean, I don't want to overplay it, but that second half against us in Austin was not competitive.
Yep.
Like it was very clear by the end of that game who the better team was.
What do you think is worse for A&M? Getting exposed by Texas and getting a blueprint, or if A&M just played another FCS team in this made-up world and they get exposed in this regard? What do you think is worse? Because to me, it's like Texas could actually have given them a month to be like, oh wait, we don't really have, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think would be more deadly? Not knowing who you are or having a month to fix it after Texas does expose something?
Showing who you are tends to catch up with you.
Yeah.
But you're going to be revealed for who you are by a quality opponent at some point. So if you're A&M, maybe you could put in some counter punches.
Right.
And I think those counter punches involve Marcel Reed in true quarterback run game, like true Reed run game, and then marrying that to quick hitters to Concepcion and Craver, and then a couple of deep shots.
Expand your route tree a little bit too, right? They were super predictable on kind of where they would attack you.
But we don't know if Marcel Reed can throw that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like that. It might be that they realize Marcel Reed can throw single reads inside. And then if once again, a deep ball is a single read. So it's maybe they're completely limited by that. They probably are. Because whenever we just moved safeties around, did very basics disguise, held the seams, Reed starts bouncing around and patting the ball and all of that stuff. But you might be able to design some other routes or combinations, concepts to help. So that I think the counterpunch example is interesting because getting that exposed could actually potentially be helpful that, if they just went through the whole season thinking they were God's gift to offense,
Well, also, if A&M can get Carson Beck consistently into third down, Miami's cooked.
We're talking about all this stuff with Marcel Reed. It's like we said, the Carson Beck factor is massive here. If you get Carson Beck at his ceiling where you're like, man, he could go first overall. And then he doesn't even look draftable some games. So it's like, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, what a weird game. I mean, I think the most likely outcomes are probably co-equal, which is solid A&M win or big Miami upset. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean margin. I don't mean the two outcomes. Like, yeah, I think the two most likely outcomes are A&M wins or Miami wins. But
That's a good
no,
point.
I mean, I think this game is fascinating. I think this is the most interesting game of the 4 playoff games by far. Do you guys agree?
Sure? You sure did? JMU, Oregon?
Well, I mean, some people really are like all about Bama, Oregon. I mean, Bama, OU, I should say. So,
oh, this is the most interesting by a mile to me.
I mean, it's fascinating game too.
Yeah, just by the nature of both of these teams have clear flaws, and it's just who can expose who. And I don't think we have any like penalty, kind of discipline-y stats. Parker's all about on the field. But A&M was horrible in penalties as well. I don't know what it feels like with Miami's coaching job, they'd probably be bad there too. So
the U is typically not great with respect to penalties.
So it's like I don't see the shoot in the foot factor here, but I assume that's also. But hey,
dude, I know we're becoming the NFL light. I get it, but the culture clash of Miami A&M is awesome.
Well, they're going to play at A&M, the greatest stadium. The greatest atmosphere of all time that does not bear out in the results ever.
And then Miami plays in a stadium where if it's not some big marquee game, there's like 20,000 people there and people in reading books.
I had no idea how small of a school Miami was. Like when I looked it up, it's like 18K, right? Or something, maybe even less.
It's not that small, is it?
I think. Look it up. Maybe.
But I mean, 18K is not that small, is what I mean.
I don't know. When I think of like A&M or Texas or something like that, where are they at?
A&M, they're trying to do if you can fog a mirror, you're an admin thing.
Yeah. But
12,000 undergrad, 6,000 graduate.
But just I think growing up, when you hear about the U, it's like because of their successful run, you think of Miami as just like this massive thing. And then to see it's like, oh, it's smaller, private kind of vibe there. That always stood out.
Yeah, it's a private school, and it's not in Miami. It's in Coral Gables. So when they bring recruits for Miami, they take them to the city of Miami. And then they put them up in like a condo on the beach and like, this is how we are. And like Coral Gables is pretty, but it's like a little quiet bedroom community. Like it's not lit.
Yeah.
So
you are hip, dude. You are hip, dude. Man, you're cool right now, dude.
That arthritis commercial with Young MC got me fired up.
Yeah, you have a high ceiling and floor right now.
I do. I'm the Miami of podcasters.
Anything you want to say about the other games that are stupid and boring?
I mean, an upset would be fun, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Poor TNT, right?
I mean, I guess people will tune in a little bit for the it's football. I'm going to watch it, but they're up against NFL games. So Joe Average casual ain't watching. And then the college football diehards are so pissed off about the playoff process.
Everyone's disgruntled
that you're not going to get casual Texas fan to be like, oh, I'm going to watch JMU Oregon. They're going to just sit there seething. I mean, if it's 17-14 in the second quarter, some TVs will get turned on, right? But if it's 21-0 midway through the second quarter, Oregon, who's going to watch that?
Yeah, but it also happens with Power 5 teams. The problem is the first round is just there's such a gap between not like A&M and OU, but we've seen it with SMU, right? So it's there's just this gap between 6 and 12 or whatever it is that it's
on that point, Connor, Texas Tech and Miami are going to have a lot on their shoulders. Because if Texas Tech proves kind of a fraud, if Miami gets whipped by A&M, what does that say? We all are aware of the increasing separation between the G5 and the P4.
Yeah.
What does that say about the increasing separation between the P2 and the other two?
Well, and also, the SEC Big Ten brass are why are we even giving these spots away? It's let's go do our own thing where these games are better. And
dumbass Yormark turned down a system where you could have two Big 12 teams as an automatic. He's like, that's not enough. It's like, dude,
you're just incentivizing y'all to get kicked out of the playoffs eventually, man.
It's more likely to go the other way than you get 3 teams, buddy. It's more likely you get shut out. So Texas Tech utterly dominated the Big 12 this year. If they go and lose their first round game after a bye, that's going to be tough because you're going to have some tough conversations about what the playoff actually is.
Do you think Tech's the real deal? I've only seen like 2 games.
I feel like their defense is pretty legit. The offense, I have questions about when they scale up. But again, it's going to be a matter of who they play. Who's the opponent? Because, it's not like the SEC or Big Ten teams are infallible. So we'll see.
I feel like Georgia's going to win it all, but also we have such, like as a Texas fan, the most skewed possible view of Georgia.
We think Georgia is like unbeatable, and Georgia, and then we go watch the Georgia Tech game, and you're like, oh, really? Wow, interesting.
Yep, a lot of fun. Guys, join Inside Texas for $1. All the portal news, all the craziness. Really, really fun time of year if you are a fan. Paul, thank you so much, guys. This was The Live. It was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We have a bunch more good content coming your way today, so stay tuned in to the channel. Later, y'all.